Good evening, Bermuda, and welcome to another episode of Let's Get Social, which is a monthly ministry update from the Ministry of Social Development and Seniors. I'm joined by the Honorable Tinee Furbert, our minister. Tonight, we have some updates to provide for you, and as always, it's an interactive session. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them into the comment box. We will answer them as we go. If we don't get a chance to get to all of them, we will record them and come back to them. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the minister so we can get right into our update.
Thank you, Alicia, and thank you to everyone who may be out there listening this evening. Like Alicia mentioned, this is a monthly update that we provide to our community to make sure that we stay connected and also to keep you abreast of what is happening within the ministry. We do encourage you to ask any question that you may have. And again, if you don't have the opportunity to ask a question this evening, that you can reach out to us by the information that we will provide to you. So today we are going to get started. Some of the topics that we are going to touch on this evening is our collaboration with the third sector. Also, we'll be touching on the most recent meeting that we've had with the Regional Conference on Social Development and Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as a very exciting project that we're working on with Talk Radio, and that's the Golden Hour. And also the work that we are doing with UN Women and its partners, which is very exciting, and I can't wait to share that information with you. And then and the theme for the work that we're going to be doing with the UN Women and its partners is building back equal through innovative financing for gender equality. And then we'll be going into a guide that we have out there for benefits for persons with disabilities, as a reminder to the community of what resources are out there for persons with disabilities. So that's just a start to what it is that we'll be talking about. And so first I'll start with the third sector. So the Ministry of Social Development and Seniors has regular meetings with the third sector, and we try to have the meetings at least once a month. It's just so that we can connect with the third sector to figure out sorts of things that they may be experiencing now that we are working our way through this pandemic. And it gives the third sector community the opportunity to share things that they may be seeing across the different third sector bodies, as well as share initiatives that they may be having so that they can share that with the clientele in which they serve, and also the opportunity to share what sort of services that they have, and so they can also share that information with the clientele in which they have as well. And I just wanted to bring to you the attention of our listeners that particularly the Bermuda Diabetic Association, they are providing lateral flow tests. Of course, I'm not sure if it's for a price or not for a price, but they do have them available for anyone that might be interested. You can give them a call to see how they would actually be distributing them, whether or not they are for sale. And also just wanting to remind the public that the Bermuda Diabetic Association is also there to help persons to fill prescriptions because they are able to get them for a pretty affordable price. The Bermuda Diabetic Association has also had the opportunity to provide pop-up vaccination clinics. They report that persons feel comfortable coming to their particular site to have a vaccination. Now, this isn't something that's ongoing. They did provide pop-up clinics for a short period, However, if this is something that the public is continuing to request, we can look into that in more detail to see if that's something that can continue. Just wanted to also add that some of the areas within the third sector that does not have to do with food distribution are reporting that their visits into persons' homes have been pretty limited due to the pandemic, as far as in-person visits, but they have still been able to connect with persons in the community via the telephone or through an electronic medium, such as a smartphone or smart device or laptop. I just wanted to share also that Project Action is also still providing a service, limited days. I believe the last that we spoke, it was on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they were doing this for medical runs, dialysis, and emergencies. And if no one is aware of what Project Action is, they're actually a transportation service, an accessible transportation service for people within our community. What the non-food third sector is also reporting is that they have seen an increase in services for the need for counseling. And so there are many groups that there are many third sector groups that provide counselings to families at no cost. And if you're wanting more information about that, you definitely can reach out to our ministry so that we can navigate you to those services. As far as the food charity sectors, they are reporting that they are seeing an increase for demand for food services, meaning for actual meals or grocery vouchers. They have recently, some report that they are providing at least over 100 meals whenever they have their feeding program. And so we are so very thankful for the third sector that helps tremendously, particularly with the food security within our country for those persons who are unable to afford meals out of pocket. And so many people do utilize this service through our food programs to be able to have something to eat. And so we are very thankful again for the third sector who, and also church organizations, church bodies who provide feeding programs for people in need in our community. We do have the opportunity to meet with the clergy as well. It's important that throughout this pandemic, many of the health regs have affected many different groups and persons, and it's interesting how the pandemic affects our church bodies. There are some churches and church bodies who are meeting in person, and then there are churches who are doing both the social media platform as well as meeting in person, or there are some churches who are just doing a electronic media to be able to provide ministry to people and persons in our community. And so there's been a big shift in how we're able to get ministry out to everyone in our community. But the clergy and the churches are also reporting an increase in need for food demand via distribution of meals, as well as distribution of food vouchers. And so if you see any of the third sector out doing their tag days, please support them, because we are finding that there are people in our community who continue to need many things. May it be groceries, may it be prescription for medication, but there are many needs that continue to be out there. Something that was very important and interesting to me particularly throughout this pandemic, is the clergy's need to be able to provide support to persons, emotional support to persons, particularly with the amount of deaths that our community is coping with. And so, you can easily go, before this pandemic, go into persons' homes or go into the hospital to be able to provide support to families and persons who may be going through the process of death. And because of the pandemic, there have been restrictions placed on clergy to be able to go into people's homes or even go into the hospital to help families or persons who may be going through the death process, to provide comfort and counsel to them. And some of the clergy have actually shared, ways with trying to get around this by using electronic means by way of WhatsApp or some media platform to be able to still get in touch with families and provide support to families through electronic means. And so I just want to say thank you to the church families and the clergy for continuing to figure out and find ways to stay connected with our community. And so that's just a little bit about the third sector.
And I just want to piggyback on what you said about the volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely encouraging the public to volunteer with our third sector organizations as often as you can. Even for students, I know that a part of the requirement for school is often having community service hours. These are perfect places and you'll just leave feeling so good. So be sure to look up which third sector organizations you can volunteer with.
Yes, excellent, Alicia. Yes, these are many of our third sector organizations do operate solely off of volunteers. And so any help that anyone can provide, we encourage you to look up organizations, charity organizations, to see if they do need a helping hand with any initiative that they may be organizing. And I believe our next topic is the Regional Conference on Social Development in Latin America and the Caribbean. And so this ministry had the opportunity to participate in a 3-day conference where we had countries across Latin America and the Caribbean share what they were going through as far as recovery out of this pandemic. And I'm just going to share with you some of the objectives of this meeting. And some of the objectives were to promote the development of national policies on social development. Like any other country, Bermuda has had an effect of this pandemic on persons' employment and income. And it's important that we stay on top of national policies that can help the social well-being of our people. Another objective was to further international, regional, and bilateral cooperation amongst national offices and institutions, which was why it was very important to participate in this national regional conference so that Bermuda can stay abreast of what other Latin America and Caribbean countries are doing to address social development. To examine multi-dimensional poverty and to make progress on poverty measurement, inequality, and structural gaps in conjunction with relevant bodies that conduct studies in this field. To exchange experiences in relation to social matters and support and provide technical inputs to the summits of heads of state and government, and to contribute from the perspective of the countries of Latin America and the Caribbean to the discussions and proposals considered by the Commission on Sustainable Development. The session was hosted by Antigua and Barbuda, and some of the conversations were around post-COVID-19 and natural disaster interventions, which should be framed as a holistic approach to development. And so it's important that not only are the Latin America and Caribbean countries have been recently affected by COVID-19 and this pandemic. But at times we can be greatly affected by natural disasters such as hurricanes. There's also a need for us to continue to mainstream mental health into our social protection frameworks. There was a presentation done that looked at how countries were doing worldwide. One interesting key information that was shared is that it will take 38 billion vaccines needed to reach 70% of vaccination coverage worldwide. It was also noted that the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean have suffered the most economic and unemployment regression worldwide, and it's estimated that only approximately 5% of countries will fully recover. The groups that were most impacted demographically were women and young people, and that 79% of the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean population will have revenue below poverty lines. And so this is very concerning, particularly for this region. And it's very important that we continue to keep this as a focus and making sure that we are focusing in on guaranteeing income for our people, guaranteeing food access and expenditure reduction, and that we continue to provide a social protection framework with funding resources, such as we did with the unemployment benefit, and also with access to financial assistance. What was very interesting is that usually what regional bodies do is that they look at countries' GDP as an indicator of vulnerability. And sometimes you cannot get a true reading of vulnerability through GDP rates. But what they are recommending is that we participate in vulnerability indexes to get a better indication of development and inequalities and stability of social protection systems. And so that's just a little bit of what we discussed within the fourth session of the Regional Conference on Social Development in Latin America and the Caribbean. And I'm going to move along. The Golden Hour is also an initiative that we have started. Actually, our first program occurred last week, Thursday. It is a radio talk, which is with Magic 102.7, with Mr. Glenn Blakeney and myself and community stakeholders. And it's called the Golden Hour so that we can connect with our seniors and make sure that they had the opportunity to ask any questions as it relates to any sort of senior issues. And so that will occur the last Thursday of the month at 3 p.m. on Magic 102.7. Our last episode, we spoke about aging gracefully. And we had Sasha Benson on with us, who spoke about how we can take care of our skin. She was phenomenal. So for anyone who missed that, I'm sorry that you missed that, but she definitely was phenomenal in, letting us know how we can take care of our skin as we age. But some other topics to look forward to, particularly with the Golden Hour, is we're going to be going through the Charter of Rights for seniors. We'll also be discussing understanding upfront payments. So if you're ever having to visit a health professional, understanding what upfront payments are, and if you are making payments and you have insurance, if you're making upfront payments and you have insurance, um, and you're paying the whole bill, that should not actually happen. And so we'll be talking more about that so that people have a better understanding of what it is that they are supposed to pay if someone is insured. And then we're going to probably do something special in recognizing our centenarians. So we're looking forward to more topics as we go through the Golden Hour radio talk with Magic 102.7 on the last Thursday of the month at 3 p.m. And then this is also something very, very exciting. And it actually goes hand in hand with our discussions with the regional conference. Bermuda has been invited to participate. This is very exciting, Bermuda. Very excited about this. We have been invited to participate in a program with UN Women and its partners. And I have to say that we really, really get an opportunity such as this to be a part of UN Women's and its partners to participate in a program called Building Back Equal through Innovative Financing for Gender Equality. This invitation has been extended to both Bahamas and Bermuda. And so we will have the opportunity to build back better through gender equality. And this is an important initiative post COVID-19 and the impacts of climate change, including the impacts of hurricanes on Caribbean countries. We're going to look at recognizing the financing gaps for gender equality for women and youth limited access to finance, and to determine the devastating impact of COVID-19 on the agricultural, tourism, and creative and cultural industry. Some of the things that we are hoping to achieve with this particular project, which we're looking to start in the early part of next year, which will last for 24 months, is provide technical assistance. The UN Women and its partners will provide technical assistance to the government of Bermuda and the private sector on gender responsive financial instruments that will foster high levels of financial inclusion amongst women and improve their access to capital, and recommend new and innovative financial products that take into account the needs of women in business. We're also looking at piloting appropriate financing tools for advancing gender equality, and this will be a part of a feasibility study, taking into account the range of innovative financial tools and products that could be utilized to contribute to sustainable development impacts, with a particular emphasis on gender equality and women's empowerment. We are also looking to conduct a gender impact assessment of COVID-19, and then also look at the creation of a comprehensive knowledge products on the barriers and solutions to women's entrepreneurship, and also providing technical training for youth and women in the industry of agriculture as well as tourism. And so we're very excited about this because these proposed actions and solutions will hope to advance the well-being of women and men, youth, persons with disabilities, persons who were, again, part of that tourism, agriculture, creative arts area, and also advance the well-being of persons who were or are victims of sexual exploitation and abuse. And also look at options for providing funding and financing for women and youth who are entrepreneurs. So we're actually quite excited about how this will evolve. You will hear more information about this soon. And this will also give someone in Bermuda a awesome opportunity to work closely with the UN Women and its partners in pushing this agenda that I just spoke of forward. And so, again, you'll be hearing more about that. And again, we are excited to have been invited to be one of the countries of the overseas territories to participate in this great initiative. And then lastly, we're going to move on to a guide to benefits available to persons with disabilities. This guide actually came out in November of 2019. It was the great works of the Disability Advisory Council. You will see on the screen right now how you can access this particular document, but it is a great resource for persons with disabilities in our community to what is available to them um, within Bermuda. And so it goes through customs, what exists, and how do I apply. It looks at discrimination, who you contact, and information about that, whether someone feels they have been discriminated against. It also looks at employment and concessions for employers who hire persons with disabilities, and what you should do if you are seeking a job, who can be helpful at the Department of Workforce and Development. It speaks about the K. Margaret Carter Center, which is a program within government that services persons with disabilities. It also outlines financial assistance and what might be available through financial assistance after applicants apply. Talks about how to apply, some things to keep in mind, what you would need when you are going to fill out that application or submit that application, award decisions, how they occur, how to appeal a decision. So it's lots of good information in here. And then it also talks about the health insurance benefit under government. May you have HIP or future care, and who to contact if you need more information. It also looks at where you can get medical supplies and equipment, what mental health resources are out there for persons in our community, parking passes for persons with disabilities in our community and how you can get access to that. It speaks about social insurance and the disability benefit. You can get more information about that from this guide, as well as the contributory and non-contributory pension benefits. Things that you can get from the transportation control departments. So this is interesting, Alicia. I don't think many people would know this, that
That's a lot of information in there.
it is that persons can apply to the transport control department for an exemption in favor of persons with physical disabilities for vehicle licensing fees.
Yeah, so we are also going to be posting excerpts from the guide onto social media.
Mhm.
But if you do just type in guide to benefits available to persons with disabilities Bermuda, it will come up for a link. I know the link is a little bit long that's on there, but if you do type that in, you'll find it. But we will be posting it onto our social media. So just put at the bottom our social media site so that you can go ahead and follow the ministry on Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome. I just wanted to share it. It also speaks about how you can go about accessing a special persons uh, card for public transportation. And also, this is an interesting one because I don't think many people know this. There's actually in one of our acts that all buses in Bermuda have a designated seating place for persons with disabilities. And if a person other than a person with a disability or special person who occupies a reserved seat prevents a person with a disability from sitting in that seat, that they have committed an offense and can be there's a summary conviction to a fine of $150.
Oh, at least they have a designated seat. We need to give them their seats, their parking spots.
Yes,
Move out of
yes,
their
yes.
way.
And then it also goes through a whole list of support and social groups, support groups that are out there for persons with disabilities. So this is a great resource, and I don't think many people know that this is out there. So I just wanted to reiterate, because a lot of work went into this guide that was issued back in November of 2019.
We
And that is
have
it.
a question that came in via Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Cindy Swan said, how about seniors not standing in long lines at TCD, especially in inclement weather conditions?
Mm. I will raise that concern, Ms. Swan. I bet that is probably an issue that is not just happening at TCD. I'm sure it might be happening in other places where persons are having to wait outside to or stand in a line to be able to access some sort of a service. It is most important that anyone who is providing a service take into consideration any sort of adaptation or accommodation, particularly for seniors and persons with disabilities, so that they're not having to stand in a line for a long period of time. And it is also hopeful that we would be very gracious in allowing seniors and persons with disabilities to even go in front of us, if that is the case. But I will raise that concern, particularly with TCD. Ms. Swan, thank you for that question. Were there any?
And then she came back and said it's happening all over, especially the banks, and I've contacted them. Yeah, so we can just continue to advocate for our seniors, and if you know persons in management in these places, to bring it to their concerns. And then us, as you say, administer like our due diligence to our seniors. If we see a senior that's in front of us or see someone that's disabled, if it doesn't take us out of our way to go ahead and give our place up, or just see how we can be of assistance, bring that community and village back, right?
Sure, sure. Because people just need to understand, the impact of standing in a line for a long period of time, particularly if there's bad weather conditions, or there may be even good weather conditions and it's just hot outside. That there are people who are out there who may be vulnerable and cannot or do not have the stamina to be able to stand in a line for a long period of time.
So that was the only comments, questions that I saw on here. So just going to let the public know that the next episode of Let's Get Social is going to be, this should actually say December. I'm going to change it. It's December 6th. So it's not November 1st. Today's November 1st. December 6th at 6 p.m. So it's the first Monday of the month. And then we'll have the minister and provide further updates. But if there is any topics that the public want to see covered, or you have any questions, please feel free to contact the ministry, bring things to our attention. Just as we just mentioned with the seniors and the lines, the ministers cannot action what they do not know. So please be sure to communicate with us. Minister, did you want to give the public an update on the dementia health cards that
Yes,
we launched?
I can. We did launch dementia health cards. Some of you may have seen information about this already through we did a press release about this, and we also we were on the radio last week, Monday, with Magic 102.7 discussing the dementia health cards. What the dementia health cards, let me see if I have one. What they actually do is, if anyone has dementia and they have the ability to carry a card around with them, um, may be in their wallet, or if there's some sort of a lanyard that we could put these on. But they can be folded so that they can actually fit in a wallet, or go on a lanyard. Um, and basically, what it says, my name is, and if I need help from someone, please contact. And it has a spot for the person's name, what the relationship is to them, and the contact number. So these are dementia help cards. Should anyone, you have a wanderer in your family, uh, they can be very helpful. We are also exploring some other mediums for this, Alicia, by way of a wristband as well. But this is something that is available through the ministry, and it is a start to be able to help persons with dementia in our community, should they be out and about and somebody's trying to figure or help them, find where or navigate where they need to go. So
Yes, I like that.
I do want to say to the listening audience that next week the government will be releasing its Throne Speech initiative. So look out for that next week, Friday, and look out for initiatives through the Ministry of Social Development and Seniors, as well as all the other great ministries. But that will be happening next week, not next week, this week, Friday. I'm saying next week. We're in November. It's this week.
Yes, it is November 1st. Okay, so that'll be this week, Friday,
Yeah, this
November
week.
5th.
Yeah. So, and that is it. I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to connect with us. And again, if you didn't have an opportunity to ask your questions, you can definitely reach out to us to be able to ask any question, and continue to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, so that you can continue to stay abreast with information that is happening within the Ministry of Social Development and Seniors. So thank you. Have a good night.
Yes, have a good night, Bermuda, and tune in to the next episode, which is going to be on Monday, December 6th at 6 p.m.
Thank you, Alicia.
Good night.
Night.